One of the most important things I was ever taught years ago when I was young was that when you come to a crossroads, and all of you know we're at one, you're supposed to plant every seed of possibility, and the ones that grow fast mean yes, and the ones that don't grow either mean no or not now. So it's about the absence of struggle and the surrender aspect of allowing things to grow in you and with you. So what we know is that the undeveloped part of us that comes in midlife gives us a second chance. And one of the things I would encourage you to do, if you're a biography reader, read biographies of people and see what happened to them between 35 and 45. And most of the people that you're going to find interesting, major things happened. One of the first people that I thought was really interesting was Mother Teresa. Before her Middle Passage, she was in Eastern Europe doing not what she wound up doing. And she had this strong desire to go to India, and her life changed and the life of the planet changed. So what I think is important is to realize that we do get a second chance, and we need to take it. And we need to take it without reservation, without permission, and we have to become a leaping beauty instead of a sleeping beauty at midlife. And I believe you have to do that all your life. I don't know exactly if you all understand the difference between introvert and extrovert, so let me try to give you some parameters. There is a wonderful book that came out in January of 2012 called Quiet by Susan Cain. It was the number 5 nonfiction bestseller of 2012. I read it in 2 days, and I've absolutely been changed permanently by it. In nature, 20% of the people are born introverted. In our society, in the last 112 years, we have been moving toward greater and greater extroversion, which means outer action, too much talking, too much movement, too much thinking, not enough recentering. People who are born introverted have a processing system that takes in more stimuli and needs more time to put itself back in order. And I call that self-dialysis. So if you're one of those people who, when you get around too much noise and too much people, you find yourself going crazy, you're probably an introvert. If you appreciate silence, solitude, quiet, you are by your biological nature an introvert. Now, I believe that when we're born and we take our first breath, that what happens to us is that that chart that we chose gets downloaded into the limbic system of our brain. So that is our innate preference. That is our most easy to be self. If we grow up in a family system where that is not appreciated, either because of gender or family limits or whatever, we will repress it. And we are living in a world today where the pressure to be an extrovert is causing so much neurosis, I cannot even tell you. When I went to graduate school in the 1970s, we did not diagnose people with labels and give them medication. We gave them information and access to treatment, which has been proven to be more valuable long-term than the medication and the diagnostic codes. So one of the things that Jung said that I think is unforgettable is the fact that if a society loses its feeling function, it becomes addicted to sensation. We're there. Feeling function is the child's ego, which Lily's going to talk about this afternoon. When we're born as feeling, energy, bubbling hearts. And we either find a way to express it and keep it flowing so we can do well, or we repress it and it becomes somatized in the form of illness and neurosis. And that is why it is so important to access the feeling function by stillness. And one of the things that I tell my clients is that if you're stuck and depressed, I want you to go home and clean out your house. Throw things away, because it will create a flow for things to come in, plus you'll be physically in your body, which will change things for you. The other thing I tell people to do is stay at home alone, disconnected from life for 3 days. The 3-day model shows up in The Myth of Inanna, in which she went into the underworld and she came back in 3 days. It shows up in the story of Christ and his resurrection. He died and was reborn in 3 days. If people will go on a 3-day quiet journey and keep a journal and pay attention to their thoughts, they will discover what feelings are repressed or driving them. The other thing I would suggest to you, and again, I know this is going to be covered later, but to me it's a very powerful thing to do. Our images of ourselves are stored in photographs. One of the things I would suggest to you, as well as the 3-day retreat, get a picture of yourself in every year of your life so far. Make a circle. Make a spiral. Start at where you are. Make notes. Go to the next picture. Make notes. Go backwards. And the reason we do this is that everything is unlocked in the cellular memory in our brain and in our body. The first 2 years of our life, according to cell biologist Bruce Lipton, we're in trance. So we don't remember. We just live it. Between 2 and 4, we're in a moderate trance and we have memories, so we may be able to recall them. Between 4 and 6, we're in a very light trance, and so we are in school and we remember things. But these early pictures are very important. If you can find pictures of yourself under the age of 4, in a family situation, it's quite revelatory, and you can look at it and you can know a lot. So I think it's important. One of the other things I recommend to people, if you want to really get at this richness within, not just to go to an astrologer or a psychotherapist, get a picture of yourself that's the one that you look at it and you say, I still am that person. Put it in a frame, put it where you turn on and off your light at night, put it where you may do your reading and writing so that you see it. Now, I am such a fanatic, I put mine in a picture frame that's got mirrors in it, so I can see myself today looking at myself as I am. It works, because then you don't lose sight of it. And this hysterical busyness and electronic gadgetry is why people are crazy, because they've become the machine. So it's real important to realize that we're kind of mutating into something we were never intended to be. We're all alone together with the machine instead of with each other. And I know that's not true for any of you because you're here. So that's the important part. And another little piece of information that comes from psychology, because I don't want to just limit myself to Jung, because he's been dead since the 60s, is the understanding that our closest relative biologically is the chimpanzee. The chimpanzee has 98% of our DNA, and they are designed, as are we, to live in a 50-person support community. And when we can find that resonance, support, and mirroring, we tend to grow into a better version of ourselves. So it's extremely important to find those places and those people and those resources. Isolation kills, causes heart disease. That has been well studied. So to have a healthy heart, you must find the connection. So the feeling is what leads us to the connection. And when you feel comfortable with somebody, you want to re-engage them, don't you? So I think it's important to know that the feeling function is extremely non-rational because it doesn't make any sense. One of the exercises I got in graduate school was one that never left my understanding. Often, many of us say, and you probably hear from others, oh, I hurt their feelings. I don't want to hurt their feelings. Don't we all say that? Not anymore. But when we did, here's what we were saying. I see you react, therefore I assume it was your feelings reacting. No, it was their ego. In this exercise, 5 of us were volunteered and we came to the front of the class. A statement was made to all 5 of us individually, same statement, and we were asked, what do you feel? Guess what? 5 different feelings. It's not universal. It's not a universal language, feelings. And that's why it's so important to hear what other people say without defending it. So the feeling function is non-rational, but it's important we actively listen to one another, and that's one of the gifts that Jung gave us.